So this is Dana Lombardi again, talking with Steve Jackson about our One-Page Bulge project that'll be on Kickstarter in a while, or may be on Kickstarter when you see this video. Um, Steve, can you explain some of the ideas you have and how you put those into your games, in particular One-Page Bulge, and what philosophy do you have about what are you trying to achieve in something like that?
Playability is always first.
Hmm.
It's a game. If it were a war college simulation, it would be way different. But I don't do those. I'm looking for entertainment.
Okay.
Having said that, I want it to be accurate entertainment. I don't want, I mean, if we're telling a historical story, uh, history needs to be right. But in the constant tug of war between realism and playability, if I have to pick one, it's going to be playability because I'd like people to play it again. I'd
Right.
like them to pick up my next game and play that too. And they won't do that unless they have fun.
Right. I understand. Well, that makes a lot of sense to me too, because I don't want someone to just play a game and then never pick it up again. We want to have replayability, and you're right. The playability is essential in that. But you're right. I love history. I want the history to be right and that we have the factors in it. So, how much time did it take you to put all of the different things in? The Bulge is a huge battle. Well, in fact, it was the largest battle in Western Europe in World War II.
Biggest land battle, yes. Um, I don't remember precise dates or anything of the sort, but I think that it was about a month between the time I started writing and the time there was a playtestable version. And then, of course, testing went on for a while.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, that's interesting. I have something similar where I have an idea, and I may put it aside for a while, but when I come back to it, I try to get a playtest copy together, and I find that if you have something that looks interesting or fun, people are more likely to do it than if you just have an idea like sketched out on a hexagon map or something like that. So, how much did you put into the playtest version? Was it pretty close to what it was going to look like when it was over?
No, I recognize and respect that, especially in the last 10 years or so, there's become a hobby of making beautiful, beautiful prototype games. Mine are built for speed.
Okay. So not a lot of effort went into trying to make them look good. You just wanted to find out about the playability and see if this works.
Right. It had to be clear, but it wasn't pretty. A lot of it was hand printed or hand printed and photocopied. You start off with one of those good old blank SPI hex maps and you draw on it.
Okay. What about the counters? I mean, I have a little bag of all the counters that came in One-Page Bulge, and there's actually quite a few. Um, but they don't have unit designations on them, and that's one of the big changes that we're making for One-Page Bulge #2, is that we're going to have the actual historical designations of the American and German forces.
Of course, that makes it easier to tell a story about the way this battle went. It also slows setup.
Hmm.
I think I had one version with unit designations and knocked them right off again.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, both in terms of coming up and doing the research to find all that information, but also in putting the graphic arts, putting it all down on the counters and keeping that organized. So I understand that that was not the purpose of the playability. If it's going to be playable, it really didn't matter. If they're regimental units, then you just have to make sure there are enough, and they're the ones that are historically available, even if they're not designated as such back in 1980.
What hex size are you thinking of for this edition?
Well, that's an excellent question, because these tiny ones that you had in the game had to fit in the pocket box. I now, a lot of my guys, I know I cannot see things like I did when I was in my 20s and 30s, right?
Agree. Agree.
Exactly. Exactly. So what I'm trying to do is accommodate all the people of our age in our group that need a little help with larger type, larger symbols. And so I'm looking at a 3/4 inch square counter and probably at least 1 inch hexes.
Hmm.
So the board, let me see, do I have, yeah, I do have the board. Hang on. So I'll also show this to people, but this is the original board, and they were like 1/2 inch hexes. They'll probably be we're not going to use as much of that part of Belgium and France as you did because we're going to narrow it down to where the most of the action happened and where the Germans had to get to across the Meuse River to hit going to Antwerp. So we don't need Antwerp in the map. Just getting across is going to be their victory condition, and we don't need to show all of the area in Germany and that portion of France and Belgium in order to do it. So we actually can make the hexes bigger. We can make 1 inch hexes and yet cover all the key terrain that we want to show was the most important to the Germans trying to get through the American lines and forces to eventually get to Antwerp. We don't need to show Antwerp in order to show that as a victory condition.
No, you don't.
So anyway, that's what we're trying to do is big counters, big hexes, a lot of detail in the game, but also easy to read, you know, make it easy on people to see the counters, see the numbers, and look at the map. So, I mean, what I liked about what you did with this is that the pocket games weren't just small because they fit in a pocket, but with young people's eyes, as I found, they can see all this stuff very easily. And I can't do it anymore, like you pointed out.
Oh, when we did the last edition of Ogre, everything was bigger and not just to make a statement, although there was some of that.
Mhm.
Everything needed to be bigger so the designer could read it.
Yes, I understand that. I wouldn't be able to play test the new version if they were like tiny 1/2 inch counters. I just can't do that anymore.